you realize that there are places in Southern America where you can buy handbags made of human scrota?
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
Roger, Roger. What's our vector, Victor?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
I know that, Mr. Man. They also call them cereals. I'm not stupid, you know.
The story is ludicrous. You can imagine where it goes from here.
Fixes the cable.
Suppose something happened to her between now and Monday. Who'd get her money?
Her husband. I'd get it all. Why not?
Sure. Why not?
You and me rich.
Lester, I have a gun.
Gun's no good. It'll have to look like an accident.
Sure, but that's easy.
Not too easy. We've got 3 days.
3 days. We'll work it out. Kiss me. Kiss me. Hard.
Crazy about you. I could break your bones. Gotta think of a nice, foolproof little accident.
We'll work something out. I know a way. I know a way. I know a way. I know a way.
It wasn't even my dog.
Oh.
It was
So
my
you
girlfriend.
stole it from a black guy.
Yeah, it was my girlfriend's dog.
Well, so you're dating a racist.
Oh.
It never ends. It's a bottomless pit, honky.
Yeah.
It is almost after dark here at Black Dog Video. That makes this Black Dog After Dark, or otherwise called the Black Dog Video After Dog podcast.
After dog? I don't
After
like
a
that.
dog, sit down and listen to,
Yes.
to three white folks talk about a black and white movie. I am Dylan Reimer. I'm a stand-up comic as well as an irregular employee here at Black Dog Video in
Yeah,
Vancouver.
sure.
And to my left, as always, is...
My name is Alex Chisholm. I am an employee of Black Dog Video.
Could you
I'm a
think
programmer at the Rio Theater down the street, and as usual, I write all of Dylan's material.
Yeah, that's why it always tanks.
about- Yeah, that's why he hasn't had work in 5 months.
Whoa, who are you?
Oh, me? Oh, yes, I'm Darren Gay. I own this sweaty, fetid establishment on this hot July night. Sun's still up. People are driving around their big fucking motorcycles. We've had to leave the door open just to get some fresh air in here because it is hot. So hopefully there won't be too many interruptions, too many yahoos going by.
It lends an air of badassery.
That's true.
It's like the Road Warrior in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the Road Warrior in here,
Yeah.
exactly.
Or like a lawnmower factory.
Yeah. There we go. So we're doing something different this time around, somewhat different, going way back into the vaults of a movie that none of us had seen before.
Well, Alex, you had seen this before, right?
Yeah,
No, well,
Hold on,
a month ago.
before we continue. The movie is Sudden. It's called Sudden
Oh,
Fear.
yeah, we should probably talk about what the movie is.
Starring Joan Crawford and Jack Palance, directed by David Miller, 1952. So just that's how far back we're going.
Yeah.
I think this might be the farthest back we've gone.
Well,
No,
Scarlet
Scarlet
Princess.
Empress was...
But and
but
we also
that's
did
yet to air.
we also did Thief of Baghdad, but which got lost in the
What was that, like
clouds.
the 30s?
Yeah, 20s or 30s or something like that.
Anywho, so we're doing 1952's Sudden Fear, which was a suggestion by a somewhat intoxicated Alex P. Chisholm.
Yes.
What does the P stand for? First of all, no?
I don't know.
Well, it's not... I don't have a P. He's making fun of Alex P. Keaton.
Yes.
My middle initial's J, if you really need to know.
Alex
for,
P. Chisholm.
for Jay? Like Homer J?
No, for Joseph.
Jism.
Was that a
Jism?
is that a like a biblical name?
Just a name. I don't know. You'd have to ask my folks. They called me Joseph, I suppose. It
Give me
was
their
after
number. Give me their number right
religious-
now.
Actually, now that I think about it, well, I mean, it's a Catholic
And
name,
he's off.
But it would have been my uncle as well. I had an uncle now long deceased named Joe.
That's
So
probably
it's
it.
probably named after him.
Yes.
Hey, Joe.
So, yeah, Sudden Fear. I did pick this one. My introduction to this film, I'm a Rolling Stones fanatic. And any Rolling Stones fans who might be listening, their most iconic album, Exile on Main Street, I have the CD cover just to illustrate.
Arguably would be their best album. as
Arguably
well.
their best, but they're probably their most famous album. They're Sgt. Pepper, some say.
But Bridges to Babylon.
Steel Wheels. Don't forget Steel Wheels.
Voodoo Lounge. But no, that famous Rolling Stones album, if you've ever seen the gatefold cover on the CD or on the original album, there's a picture of a movie box office, and it has a large poster of Joan Crawford recoiling in fear.
I can see it.
And the photo's very
Only we
striking.
can
I'm
see it.
showing the CD to Darren and Dylan. I saw this album first when I was a little kid, and the photo it's a really striking image of Joan Crawford. And I'd always wondered about what movie that was because it doesn't identify what the movie is. And years later, around 2015, we got in a DVD. Here at Black Dog, we got in a DVD of Sudden Fear back in 2015. And it has a similar image of Joan Crawford in it, so on the cover. So I thought, oh, that's the movie that's advertised on the Exile on Main Street cover. That stoked my interest to see this film. I'd always been curious since seeing the photo in the Stones record. So at the beginning of the pandemic, during the pandemic, I decided to watch a lot of films that I just never had the time to sit down and watch before, and this was one of them.
Were you hoping
based
to?
On the cover.
Were you hoping to get some? Were you hoping that the Stones did the soundtrack?
No, I knew it was before, when the Stones would have been little kids, 1952. Right. 20 years before Exile on Main Street was released.
There you go.
However, though, I did some research just building up to the podcast, and it's actually not the film on Exile on Main Street.
That would be like
the photo
if Radiohead put
the
Space Jam on their
album. The photo is similar, but it's not the same.
Can everyone see that? Everyone can look at it.
I'm just showing it to my two colleagues.
If you have a copy of
Exile
on Main Street
and Sudden Fear in your house,
but anyway, they're not. It's not the movie that's in the Exile on Main Street photo montage. That movie is a George Cukor film. I googled it just to do some last minute.
Why don't we watch that one?
Checking. Because we don't have it.
Oh.
But I did some fact checking just before this podcast, and that's the photo inside Exile on Main Street is a movie called A Woman's Face, and it's directed by George Cukor, but she's striking a very similar image in both promo photos. That being said, I decided to watch Sudden Fear. I checked out a lot of film noir. I wanted this podcast to be originally us each discussing a pick from the pandemic, something that impressed us that we may have discovered during the pandemic, but we just narrowed it down to this one movie.
Well, you know
that's my long spiel as to why we picked Sudden Fear tonight.
You know that the pandemic's not over, and we can still.
I'm aware of that. I just mean the initial shutdown when everyone was staying home in the streets.
So it made it. Did you get it made an impression on you? You get a tattoo of Joan Crawford or anything on you, on your back or anything?
No, but it was like an indentation impression. Like it kind of crushed me. The movie.
Wow.
The pose she's striking on the cover. It's on. Yeah, it's like
it's in your heart.
It's pressed into my chest.
You got a tattoo on the inside.
Yeah, on the inside. Wow. But I really enjoyed the film and thought it could be an interesting pick for a podcast.
I watched a movie because of a rock band once. True story. Angels 1-5. It's an old World War II Air Force movie. Only because it is featured in Pink Floyd's The Wall. So did you know anything about this movie before?
I knew it existed. We only have it at this location. We don't have it over yonder at Canby Street. I just knew it existed. We have such a robust noir section. It could always be better, I could always add more, but it's I've always seen it in there. I've always been interested in it because I love noir, and I've never watched it until 2 nights ago.
Speaking of our collection, we could probably do better than the DVD copy we have. Like the volume is incredibly low.
I had to turn it up to like on my amp. My amp goes to 100. I had it on 73. Just so I could hear it.
I cranked it too.
I hate to admit it, but I switched to YouTube and watched it. I just cast it from my phone.
Traitor.
I know, but it was a crystal clear print, right? And I could actually hear what they were saying.
A nice Blu-ray.
There is a Blu-ray. Funny you should mention it was recently released, maybe 2 years ago.
I'll have to seek it out.
And also, there's it seems so ridiculous, but there are 8 missing seconds. Yeah. But now there's a Blu-ray with that missing 8 seconds. It's a montage scene where she's having a nightmare about being murdered, where she's falling out a window and all of that. For some reason, they cut that out.
No, that's on the DVD.
Oh, well, then it's a different print. Because what they were saying online was that the 98 release...
Mr. Smarty Pants, so YouTube might look better, but it's missing.
Well, it's actually Wikipedia.
See what happens? See what leads, where traitorous behavior leads to?
Yeah. You mean where I got the information? This was not on YouTube, but rather on IMDb and Wikipedia.
I'm not saying the information's wrong. I'm just saying, had you watched the DVD, you would have seen those 8 seconds.
And then I would have forgotten that the volume was cranked to 178, and then I would have switched back to like regular porn.
Did it have
the windows out?
Did it have Jack Palance's nude scene in the one you watched?
Full Dawn. Who knew? Jack Balance. That was his nickname in Hollywood.
The tripod.
Anyway, so Sudden Fear, directed by David Miller. I didn't have a chance to look up.
I don't know who that
films,
is.
but
Yeah.
His other big film is Lonely Are the Brave.
Now, at home,
1962.
you think that Alex just knew that off the top of his head, but he had to look at the back of
I
the
did
box.
look at the back of the cover, but I'm aware of that film.
Yeah.
I've not seen it, but I'm aware of the title.
Jack Palance. Now I gotta be honest. I every year I tell myself that my New Year's resolution is I'm gonna watch more foreign films, more documentaries.
I do the same
and
thing.
More black and whiters.
Stuff I haven't seen before.
And I never do. I'm so glad that you picked this one.
Thank you.
It's an interesting viewing experience, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
It's old. It's black and white.
Yeah.
And they actually
of the
list
era.
Joan Crawford's who makes her clothing.
5 people.
Yep.
They had 5. I wrote that down. 5 costume people, including someone with one name, Tula.
Oh, Tula.
Tula, and then hats by Rex.
Nice. Rex.
Yeah.
Not like Oedipus.
Yeah. No, T-Rex.
Okay.
To
a very young Mark Bolan.
No, an actual
The
T-Rex.
credit that touched
yeah.
me. Who's the actor? I'm sorry, I don't know this actor otherwise, but it seemed to be. I think they listed in the beginning Touch Collins or something.
I saw that name too.
Their first name's Touch. I may be mistaken.
That's got me too written
If
all over it.
there's Touch like diehards out there who are mad at me for not knowing this actor,
There are no Touch diehards.
So.
Touch Collins, Phil Collins.
Yeah.
It's
Touch
just
Phil Collins.
I could be
It's
wrong
a whole
about
bunch
the
of
last
verbs.
name,
Yeah.
but I did get a kick out of the first.
Did he play the old drunk? We'll get around to the old drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
the whole groping drunk.
he just immediately starts sexually harassing her.
Yeah. Not even harassing her, like groping her on the sidewalk.
But just like kudos to those 5 people, or 4 and the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah.
Who did her Lady Crawford's wardrobe.
Yeah.
Because in every frame of this movie, she looks fucking incredible.
Fabulous.
Even when time is of the essence. It's 1 o'clock, or it's literally midnight, and she has to sneak out and do this plan. She still takes the time to just look amazing.
She looks great. Yeah.
I can't believe I'm not more. Before this, Joan Crawford for me. Whatever Happened to Baby Jane is probably the only Joan Crawford movie I've seen. She's All About Eve, right?
No, that's Betty Davis.
Betty Davis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But who was also in
Whatever Happened to Baby Jane.
Yes.
That's probably why I
her
thought
most famous, like Joan Crawford made many amazing films, but her most famous is Mildred Pierce.
And Mommy Dearest.
Well, which she's not in, but Mildred Pierce, she won an Oscar for.
She's
it.
looking at us right now.
Oh, she is.
That's Faye Dunaway.
That's Faye Dunaway as.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Faye Dunaway and Mommy Dearest. No, it's her playing Joan Crawford. Yeah, her most famous film is probably Mildred Pierce, for which won an Oscar. Superb film. Although, by the way, I revisited it during COVID. I watched 3 Joan Crawfords because I was so impressed by her performance in Sudden Fear. But Sudden Fear was my favorite of the 3. I rewatched Mildred Pierce, and I also watched one we have called Possessed, which is quite good, but I didn't like it as much.
Yeah, all of those titles came up on YouTube. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't be mentioning them.
You and your love for YouTube.
Well, no, I do like YouTube.
Sure, go work for them.
I'm a bit of a YouTube addict.
I don't use YouTube at all.
Well, no, just for like, arbitrary, stupid, pointless bullshit.
Right.
And
well,
the news.
that's what it does.
Yeah, she's terrific. I don't know how I've ignored Joan Crawford my whole life. In fact, I've seen way more Jack Palance performances than Joan Crawford performances.
It's funny because I'm trying to think of outside of City Slickers what I've actually seen Jack Palance, and I know he's been in a ton of shit.
Young
Ripley's
Guns.
Believe It or Not in the 80s.
Believe it?
I don't think I watched that.
By the way,
I have seen Young
Well, we
Guns.
knew him as bad guys, like in City
Well,
Slickers.
look at that face on him. He's a bad guy.
It looks like his face isn't big enough, and they kind of had to stretch it on.
Are we talking about this movie here?
In this, he looks even weirder when he's young.
Well, when he first appeared on the screen, it was like, whoa! I actually said to myself, whoa, because his head's enormous. He looks to me, he looked like a jack-o'-lantern that had been left out in the porch until April. And
Shane, he was in Shane, right?
I've always thought, especially in this one, like Jack Palance. For me, try to imagine Joaquin Phoenix or Vincent Gallo. It's sort of like their dad in a way. Like he has that same kind of strange.
Those 2 guys are pretty handsome guys.
Well, they are, but they still have that unusual pointy face. I'm not putting these guys down.
Sounds like you are.
And I'm not saying Jack Palance is not handsome.
No, he's not.
I think he is.
In this movie, he's terrifying.
They have these strikingly triangular faces, almost like a bird-like face. He reminded me.
Oh
a
wow,
lot.
you're just bigging him right up, aren't
He
you?
reminded me a lot.
Ladies, he's got a triangular bird-like face.
He reminds me a lot of.
You ever wanted to fuck a starling?
He reminds me a lot of Vincent Gallo in this film, like Vincent Gallo's grandfather.
Another actor where I think I've seen maybe one movie that he's been in. I saw him get blown in The Brown Bunny, and that was about it.
Right. Buffalo 66.
No, never.
Buffalo 66 is a great film.
That's one that always
Trouble Every Day?
comes up all the time. Buffalo 66 on this podcast.
Is it?
So, the movie starts out New York, I think or Chicago, I think.
It's Chicago.
Or is it New York?
Oh,
Whatever.
no,
It's a theater.
I think it's in New York.
It's a theater in New York.
Yeah.
And in the midst of an audition,
Yep.
and Jack Palance playing.
It's actually not an audition. They're basically the guy's already signed.
Okay,
it's a rehearsal.
Yeah. Anyways,
And Joan Crawford is a playwright.
She's the playwright.
She's the playwright of this play, and Jack Palance is delivering lines on stage.
Right.
And he's basically the man that the producers and the director have chosen for the part. But Joan Crawford doesn't like his look.
No. Well,
because he's as homely as a mule's ass.
like Jack Skellington. He's like, he's not a handsome leading man, but he's got. They say he's a good actor. He's got a nice voice.
Yeah,
he just doesn't look.
I don't think he's not handsome, but he's very unusual, unconventional looking.
Yes, he's
for a romantic lead.
Yes,
and that's what I find interesting about this film. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but in the early phases of this movie, after this particular scene, I find he does come across like a romantic, sweet guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, but he's acting, right?
Well, he is acting. But anyway, let's stick to this scene.
Or is he?
Let's stick to this scene. He's basically rehearsing a scene for this play. Joan Crawford vetoes him and tells the director to sack him.
Right.
And he's good. Like it comes in on his monologue, and he's terrific.
And he's really pissed. He yells at her and then storms off. And then
he yells at her in the best burn ever.
Yeah, it was a good burn, wasn't it?
Well, which is a very intelligent burn. Do you want to go with it?
Well, yeah, because he talks about how Casanova, who's everyone thinks the greatest lover of all time, or whatever you want to call him, or he's synonymous with romance and seduction. In fact, was a very homely person.
He keeps saying, when you're in San Francisco, you go to the Casanova Museum.
You go to the you'll see a painting of Casanova, and you see it looks like his ears were all misshapen. He had a hair lip, big booger in his nose.
Yeah.
He didn't have any hair.
Yeah, he took a shower. Kevin Spacey.
He had no teeth.
He looked like Kevin Spacey's ass.
So there you go.
So yeah, you should love me. Like I didn't really understand his point. Like
he kept going on and on about the museum.
I got it. Well, it was like educate yourself. He basically implies she's ignorant and narrow-minded about what a conventional romantic lead should be.
He heard about this role, and he went to a museum, and he looked at a painting. That guy's never been in a museum in his life. He was just researching the role. And who knows? I don't even know if I don't think the role was Casanova. Anyway,
it's not Casanova.
No, he's just using
the
because
play.
He uses
because he's Casanova's the lover, the famous lover, and women flock to him, probably because he's cut,
Jack Palance.
Yeah, exactly. But that's his point. Is like you don't have to be good looking to be, romantic
and seductive.
Yeah, you just have to tell a woman that you could break all her bones because you love her so much.
Yeah,
he says He says some weird things in this movie.
I'll just break all of your bones.
So he has a little hissy fit.
Yeah, and then he storms off, and then the play's a hit. It's
Halfway to Heaven is the name of the play.
Right, which becomes a huge
which I actually thought would be a better name for the movie.
Because Sudden Fear is not a very good name because it doesn't really make any sense in the context of the movie because there's no sudden fear really.
There is sudden fear.
Well, there's the one moment when she realizes things.
Later on, I think, which is an incredible moment. But she
gets on a train.
The play becomes a huge hit. She's a highly successful playwright. And the play becomes a huge hit. And then when she's leaving New York to go back to San Francisco, she's seen off by some of her friends.
Yeah.
And
then Jackie D. P. Jackie P.
Just happens to be on the same train.
Old Pumpkinhead just happens to be on the same train. I'm surprised he can fit on it.
Yeah.
That's not a coincidence. He saw her at the bar and he followed her on the train, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really matter. They get to chatting.
Yeah.
She tries to apologize or explain herself, and he's like, "Nah, it's all right. I get it. Like,
Kinda
I
seduces
get
her.
it. You had to do what you had to do, or whatever." And it was like,
There's Sydney Greenstreet.
and it's like right off the bat, you're like, "Oh, something's going on."
He's emulating the creepy vibe. For me, he was anyway,
He
right
is,
off the bat.
but I still wasn't 100% sure if he was up to no good or not. When I first saw this movie, I thought, he still was convincing enough, like, the way they portray this, because the two of them sort of fall for each other on the train, or so you think. I thought it was conceivable while watching it, like, I still didn't know what was going to happen, and I was thinking, maybe they will fall in love, maybe something horrible will happen to him, maybe she'll have to take the law in her hands. Like, I wasn't really sure where it was
Well, that's
going.
good. It's good.
Oh,
It
It's
was
totally,
still
yeah.
open enough that it's plausible in these scenes that he has run into her by coincidence, and they're genuinely
they're not giving any clues that there's anything else going on.
The two of them have really great chemistry.
Although he's a little snippy with the porter. I was a little. That's
true.
To me, that's a bit of a red flag. I was Joan Crawford.
Yeah. Anyway, so they're on the train, and he takes her to Chicago. We never see that. Maybe why they even had the conversation.
Okay, yeah, they have a conversation. He's going to take her out and show her all the sights of Chicago.
He says he even literally says, "Put your Chicago lipstick
That's
on."
right. Put on your Chicago lipstick
on. Because I'm going to show you a hot dog cart and a fucking the theater and a museum.
It is weird because he knows stuff about her, like the kind of drinks she gets and stuff. So he's obviously done some weird research.
Well, he said
he
that
reads the trades
he
or
said
something
he
like
read
that.
the papers, which actually isn't that crazy. Like in Variety.
Well, especially back then, like the gossip columns did focus in on. We saw, Burt Lancaster having a rum and soda with they sometimes.
Is that what Burt Lancaster drank? Rum and sodas?
In my
in your dreams?
In my example theoretical anecdote.
I'd love to have a gin and soda with Burt Lancaster.
Yeah.
I would have done it when he was alive.
I'd say the only movie of yours I've seen of yours is Tough Guys, and he'd go, "That's unfortunate."
Yes, that would be unfortunate.
I don't know, Tough Guy with Kirk Douglas, right? He's still alive, is he?
No,
he's dead.
he just died. 102.
Like this morning. So they fall in love.
Yeah.
Long story short.
There's a scene that they mentioned. It's like 1952, and they were talking about, I guess, coincidence or whatever. And they mentioned that there's 2 billion people on the planet. We're like at what, 6 or 8 or 7 million, 7 billion.
We're up to 7, more than 7 now.
In 60 years, 70 years, we've like tripled that.
They said we're gonna. I don't want to get into it. I just read a thing about that.
That's terrifying to me.
Yeah, but it's going to taper off. I read this thing.
Well, COVID's going to taper it off, right?
Well, that, and people can't afford to have kids anymore. And so they're like, they were reporting this like it was a bad thing. They're like, oh, exponential growth is going to stop by 2100.
We need this to stop.
Yeah, it's like,
there's too many fucking people.
Yeah, it's like, that's a good thing. It's like, but what about our economy? We'll change the economy.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Did they sleep together on the train? Or
I don't think so. But they dine together and stuff like that.
They dine together.
There is a moment where, like, the porter makes a comment about, should I shut the door? And they're alone together, and he says,
fuck you.
Asshole.
He says,
asshole.
I know.
He doesn't say asshole.
It's a residential fucking neighborhood, and that guy's driving like 60. Sorry.
Yeah. You broke his train of thought. Now he's all sad.
The porter.
Yes, the porter asked if you leave the door open.
The porter, they're alone in a car together when they're first talking. He says, should I close the door? And Jack Palance says no, and I noticed her reaction is like, whoa, he's like a gentleman for saying that.
Yeah,
she has some really interesting.
Well, it was an interesting reaction because the way his line reading on that to me said was like, no,
yeah,
like that's the way I got it. Like I wouldn't want to, like he wouldn't sleep with her.
Yeah,
like he wasn't attracted to her.
Reaction. I got it as just.
Like, and then she looked at him and was like, what?
Oh yeah, I got it.
That's interesting. That's how I didn't read that. I read it more like
I think she wanted him to say yes to close the door, so they could get it on, Jack Palance and all.
But anyway, they basically become involved during this train trip, and it does say they got off at Chicago at one point. He showed her around, but they both arrived in San Francisco, and immediately she's basically inviting him out to.
Well, she invites her. Yeah, they go to dancing and drinking or something like that,
and then they go back to her place.
Yeah,
and she records him without his consent.
Well, she shows him. Well, she
she gets his consent.
She mentions that she has this weird recording thing that she just flips a button. She walks around her apartment and just talks, and it's like a dictaphone kind of thing.
It's a dictaphone that turns on when she stops talking and turns off.
So
when she
obviously,
stops
this is
talking.
going to be coming into play later in the movie.
Oh, I see. I thought that it was that she had hit record. I guess I must have been making a sandwich or something.
You and your sandwiches.
I do love a sandwich.
Yeah, but you shouldn't make it while you're watching a movie.
I'm listening.
You have a bad habit of doing this.
There is a pause button on your remote.
I'm listening. I'm listening to the movie.
But it's a visual medium.
Making a sandwich.
No, you're walking away and not paying.
It's not a radio play.
I got the idea that she records people against their will.
No, not at all. No,
No.
she's explaining what back then would have been a high piece of like a
High tech
piece of technology.
High piece tech of technology.
A high tech piece of recording, and he's impressed by it. And she explains how it works. It's a dictaphone that cuts onto a record, and it starts when you start speaking, it starts recording.
Yeah.
And if you stop talking, it stops recording.
It's voice activated.
Huh.
And she uses it for making notes and for writing her plays and scripts and things like that.
I figured she did it for her plays. I just thought that because he does this big soliloquy from one of her plays, and then she's like, "Oh, let's listen to that." And I'm like, "Why isn't he more alarmed that he was being recorded?"
No, not at all.
You were
No, it's
eating your
totally no
sandwich.
disconsent. Gives the soliloquy he was giving when he got fired from the play. Only this time, she basically falls in love with him. You can see her falling for him even more.
Well,
she says she's flattered.
I'd like to get back to her apartment, and she offers him, "Can I get you a drink? Water, milk, scotch." And he goes, "I'll have whatever you're having." She goes, "Great, milk." And like, ew, like who? What
milk after a hard night of drinking.
And what adult still drinks milk? Like, that's ridiculous.
I don't know.
I drink milk.
Jack Palance.
Do you drink milk?
Fuck yeah.
Why?
Jack Palance is a growing
You're
boy.
not a baby. It's not delicious. It's fucking gross.
Delicious.
I've never like.
I
You
cannot-
drink you drink cow milk. You don't drink like cat or rat or anything
Human
like that. Horse milk. You drink horse
snake,
milk?
Bat. No, don't do bat. Not anymore.
Yeah, no more bat milk for you.
Cookies. Any kind of baked good or a peanut butter sandwich, I absolutely have to have a glass of milk.
I buy organic milk. I'll have a glass in the morning. Sometimes.
Did you just drink it straight?
Yeah.
Just like Mr. T.
Milk does the body good.
Well,
That's
I
what
think-
they- that's
you're
what
a
they
tall
tell
guy,
you.
know. And Jack Palance is he. I just kept thinking of Frankenstein through this whole movie. He is so lanky and
You
terrifyingly
guys are
strong.
just-
Well,
just
No,
well,
no, no.
It's also the lighting because it's noir, it's black and white, lots of shadows. Whenever you see him, like you don't really see his eyes. You see his protruding brow and just darkness where
And
his
his
eyes.
weird bird face. He's like a horrifying bird man.
It kind of reminds me of
8-foot
you.
Birdman.
You and your high school production of Arsenic and Old Place.
Where I played Boris Karloff.
I was there. I saw that.
Yeah.
What were you doing there?
You like
Just
I
watching.
would. That's why I asked.
Just watching teenagers.
I
I'm
was-
not saying I'm a catch. I'm just saying Jack Palance looks like Frankenstein in a suit. You know?
He does.
Uh,
Without the bolts.
and
But
so
yeah.
every time he moves, but he's very graceful.
Yeah,
you know,
he's
for an orangutan, for a
Fucking
giant
man.
monster that wants to break all your bones because he loves you so much.
That's one of the best lines for sure.
Oh, there are many great lines. in this movie.
I kept thinking at this point, it's like, oh, please, I don't want to see a love scene. I know they don't really shoot much in the line of love scenes back in the 50s, and then I kept thinking, like, what would we like to kiss to make out with Joan Crawford?
Terrifying.
I don't know. I think it'd be kind of like kissing your mom. I think.
He goes to leave. She throws him a party.
Yeah.
And he fails to show up.
Yeah,
for her.
and she's phoning him, and he's like stalking around his apartment. And
this is when the first time I watched the movie. This was when I was like, okay, this dude is doing bad shit. I thought up until this point he's a bit shady, but maybe something will happen to him.
Well, we should also mention
But
that
at this point, I'm like, this is confirming that he's.
we should also mention that Joan Crawford's character in this movie is very rich.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
She
Oh,
comes.
she's
She
an
comes.
heiress.
She comes
she's
from
old
wealth,
money.
She's an heiress.
But she's also made her own money as a playwright.
And on top of that, as a playwright, she's highly successful. In fact, earlier in the movie, she mentioned the heiress comment is mentioned to her. She says she wishes people would draw it back.
Yeah, it's
Focus on
brought
her
up in
own
Well, they shouldn't have wrote it.
It's
in the
brought up in
script
a
then.
review, which is interesting because they start talking about like why is it became a playwright. I think did she mention something about? I got the impression that she likes to structure things, like they're sort of planting that seed that she's good at planning and
Mhm.
like methodically figuring things out. I thought
Well, she's a playwright. Yeah,
it was just a great bit of character development because
Yeah.
he's
And it
he's
kicks in
a
later.
phony actor.
But I
and
didn't understand why. I didn't understand the scene why he was answering her phone, and then she shows up at his apartment. He tries to escape, but gets caught by her, and then says he kind of wants to break up with
he
her.
says
for no reason.
there's no room in your life for me or whatever.
Which is just like just toying with her to
Oh,
get her
yeah, absolutely.
to get her
toying with
to
This
get her
is
to
when
want him more.
This is when I was like, okay, the ambiguity of this character so far like whether or not he wants to do harm, is erased here. This dude is bad.
Yeah.
He's totally conning her here.
It's weird. I still thought
Because it's in a way to kind of reinforce like how much she needs.
But still, maybe if you look at it another way, you could think maybe he was feeling insecure. Maybe he just was not feeling part of that life, and maybe he just thought it best for him.
Or he could
Well, that's what he's trying to get across. But the fact that
it still wasn't
it was the way he is in the scene, like ignoring her, calling stuff, and he looks. He's not really. And she's not there yet. He's not looking like someone who's insecure. He's looking like someone who's being methodical. And
he's
like
got that
very
face,
devious,
that giant, bird face.
He's not, because he does, he has his unusual looks. I feel he does convey a lot of like nice guy early on, but in this point, it's like, no, this guy's up to no good.
He's up to no good.
He's a no good, Nick.
He's a bad egg.
He's a scofflaw.
Yeah, we knew he was a cat at this point.
Well, no, the script still had me guessing because I was like, I know this is film noir, so there's got to be some sort of. And they had mentioned. Because it's when they go to like some villa or something.
Yeah, she's got like a lake house.
That's when I really knew something was.
There's a scene when they're running down the steps and he's freaking out because there's no railing and you're gonna kill yourself. To me, I was like, oh, foreshadowing for sure.
Oh yeah,
but it never came back into play.
But before we get to that,
it does so.
Not really.
It does. It's later on in the movie. He plans to do that to her, but they don't go back to the house. Is what's
I want to say because this is a movie that not a lot of people have seen. We should maybe go easy on the spoilers.
Yes, of course.
Like normally we just give everything out there.
It's 60 years old.
I know, but like, do you guys
70.
Do you guys know anybody who's seen it?
I always say spoilers.
Okay.
It's right there in the.
Okay, I'm just saying. Maybe most of the movies that we do on the show are people have seen.
Well, spoilers.
Okay, well, there's spoilers coming up.
This is a spoiler podcast.
That's true.
So anyway,
you know what? Okay, actually, listener, if you're that dedicated, and we do appreciate your patronage and your loyalty,
put it on pause.
Watch the movie first and then listen.
Go to YouTube. Bring up.
Go to Black Dog Commercial Drive and rent it.
I mean, yeah, go to Black Dog.
Turn your volume up. Turn your volume up as loud as you can go.
Or nag Darren into getting a Blu-ray.
Well,
copy of this, which would be great on Blu-ray.
And then go buy a Blu-ray player.
And then come back after all of that, and then listen to it after a couple of weeks of homework.
Yeah, put it on.
While you're at it, check out Exile on Main Street if you haven't heard it.
Oh yeah.
It's a great record.
You pick up the vinyl.
But it doesn't have anything to do with this movie. But yeah, do that.
Well, I mean the picture.
But it's not from this.
And you might want to brush up on Young Guns and City Slickers.
City Slickers.
All right. Well, that concludes this episode. See ya.
Oh, and the first Batman with Michael Keaton, Jack Palance is in that.
Is he?
Yeah, he's you. I'm a number one guy.
That's pretty good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't remember that in Batman?
Nope.
He's like the mob boss that the Joker replaces in the first Batman.
The Jack Nicholson Batman.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Joker is like Jack Palance's
It's been
second-hand
forever
man.
since I've seen that.
And then Nicholson does a Jack Palance impression at the end of the movie.
Cool.
Anyways,
the best Jack Palance imitation was a teenage friend of mine named Matt.
Oh, I remember Matt.
I agree.
Yeah.
One time when we were like good Catholic boys, we had a really intense priest named Father White who was always
I don't like where this is going.
He was always researching human rights violations, and he would bring them up.
So he can break
them.
Bring them up.
He's brushing up.
He knows how to push the boundaries.
He knows what to avoid. Sorry, Alex, you're making that face.
But he once gave a sermon at church saying, he gets up to the mic and he starts going, do you realize that there are places in Southern America
on your body
where you can buy handbags made of human scrota? That's what he actually said.
Scrota?
So my friend Matt did a perfect Jack Palance imitation at the time because we had loved Jack Palance on Ripley's Believe It or Not, and he started going, he would twist it into Jack Palance at the pulpit going, yes, there are places in Southern America where you can buy handbags made of human scrota. Believe it or not.
Or not.
So is scrotum, is that plural for scrotum?
It's singular for scrotum.
Yeah, and the first scrotum
well,
ever.
Scrotum is singular.
The god.
Then I guess
scrotum god that I
worship.
worship.
Would be, I don't know. Would it be?
Or is it
It's
Latin?
scrote.
Yeah, Latin. Big Latin for
scrote.
Yeah, scrotopuses.
And then the best. I also love Idiocracy because Justin Long describes it as scro. But anyway, keep going.
Yeah, well, on the Wonder Years, he calls him scro. Which I always thought. I always thought like
That's pretty daring to get past a network.
That's just gonna make you hotter.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. I learned that on Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Why are you doing then?
Because the energy you burn while shaking your.
Oh yeah, you're losing
We
some
have
weight right now.
believe it or not, we have actually discussed Father White and his scrotum bag.
Before.
His bag made of scrotums, not his actual scrotum bag.
That's right, because he had one of those, right? He had a bag made of scrotums, right?
Where the hell were we? Oh, right. So they fall in love and get married, right? So let's get into Act 2 here. So then, where is it they go? For some reason, I thought it was a French villa, but I guess it's not.
It was a villa on the coast.
No, it's a house that she
California?
owns.
Yeah.
It's a house she owns with an insanely steep set of stairs.
Yeah, she grew up there. It was in their family forever.
Yeah, that's why she bought it.
Yeah.
Before they put her in that wheelchair for whatever happened to.
And then he finds out that she's giving away all of her money.
Yes.
There's a will that's being written, and there's a sort of like miscommunication, and he thinks that he's not getting anything, and she's giving it all away.
And they've got these friends. Now, is this where the young couple who also feature?
I think we're meeting the young couple right about now. Also, I also like whenever they cheers, they say "Skål."
Yeah,
which is odd.
I've heard they say "scro."
Scrotum.
Yeah, she has a collection of scrotum bags from Father White.
Well, so all those 5 costume designers had to come up with something.
And Father White's scrotum actually looked like a backpack, a little zipper on the side.
Ew. There's points in this movie I kept telling myself, it's like, is she this naive that she just thinks this guy is the bread and butter? And
yeah, she's a playwright, for Christ's sake. Like she
she's naive. She's lonely,
and
she's lonely, but she
can do a lot better than fucking Pumpkinhead.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
She could.
You're telling me Joan Crawford couldn't get like somebody who's not 8 feet tall?
Well, if you watch
who likes to break your bones because he loves you so much?
Who wants somebody that's 8 feet tall?
Hey, well, we might have. There goes one of our listeners.
Oh, sorry, they're stretched.
8 foot tall man.
Yeah.
I thought you guys were my friends. Be terrifying. He's after us. He's overturning cars on the drive. I can hear him right now.
Sounds scary.
Anyway,
so he's listening to this as we're live recording it then.
Oh no, he's heard it, and now that we're recording the next episode.
Oh, well, so we're going in the future.
He's doing 1-arm push-ups while.
Oh my god! Yeah, that's, by the way, a spoiler. That's my recommendation. Is no movie at all. Just watch Jack Palance doing 1-arm push-ups when he got his best supporting actor.
He won that for the Silly Suckers.
Silly
Suckers.
I've never actually heard it spoken. Is it Palance or Palance?
I heard Palance, but whatever.
Yeah, he goes both ways.
Well, either way, it means
his daughter's in.
It's either Jack Palance or Jack Palance. Either way, it's a huge dick joke.
His daughter, Holly Palance, is in The Omen. She's the nanny who hangs herself at the beginning of the film. This is for you, Damien.
That's a kind of a terrible way to ruin a birthday. Actually, it's a very good way to ruin a birthday.
Great way.
It's a deep what by watching.
She used to host some episodes of Ripley's.
Yes, no, jumping out of the window and killing yourself in front of the birthday boy.
You don't bounce back from that one, do you?
No, probably not. So actually, I think we have been introduced to his friends because one of her friends' name is Junior.
Yeah, what it is. There's a father-son law firm,
right?
Carney and Carney. It's Steve and his son, I guess Steve Jr.
Right.
They just call him Junior.
Right. And is it Junior that's hooked up with the other woman?
With the woman, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, what's her name again? Adele?
I can't remember what her name is.
Joan Crawford is Myra, and I'm sorry.
I don't know what Jack Palance's name is. Lester is Jack Palance. But there's a really funny line. So JR and I are going to San Francisco in the morning, and Joan Crawford goes, "Oh, that sounds very gay," which is perfect.
Oh, that is great.
Yeah,
because it is.
Yeah,
the
character's name slips.
We're going to the Castro district.
She has a very the other woman in this film has a very conventional name. It's slipping my mind, but it's something like
Edna or something like that, or
it's
Gretchen
played by Gloria Graham.
Right.
She shows up at this party with Junior, and Jack Palance, you can see him sort of, oh no, like kind of a look, or not so much oh no, but he's like more of what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, when she walks into the room, and if you take that scene and then you find out later on what's going on, should that have been his reaction? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or did they hatch that plan?
No,
after they met again in San Francisco.
No, I don't. Yeah, I think the plan came together when they met.
So
again.
the plan wasn't for her to meet him in San Francisco.
Nothing like that. I don't think
it was like an opportunity.
Because he's kind of annoyed by her return at first.
I guess his plan was just to live off her wealth.
To be married to a beautiful, wealthy woman, and then maybe pick up a little bit of
little something on the side.
Something on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some little scrotum sacks on the side.
Yes.
And this is where we find out the how the recording device that she has installed in her house comes into play.
Well, not yet.
Yeah, that's why I have my notes.
No,
maybe
it's not that
I took a break.
No, it's not that early.
Well, I mean,
No?
there's
He goes to visit her one-on-one first, the other woman, and
Right.
that's when you find out about their past. It's
Right.
not during the recording.
No. But the plan is hatched. They hear the plan. They, for some reason, that couple at the party, Jack Palance and Gloria Graham, go into that room.
They do, but it's not at that party. It's at another party.
Is that another party? Okay, yeah.
He
No.
confronts her first.
Well,
of all. He goes
there's-
to visit her, and he's really nasty to her. But then she ends up seducing him nonetheless. He even throws her down.
That's right, because
And
he's
he's
about to leave, and she's
Yeah.
seductive
It
on the
almost
couch.
seems like they've. I don't know if they're totally in on this plan against Joan Crawford from the beginning, but they've done dirty deeds together in the past,
And they've done dirt cheap.
She's mad that he's kind of left her behind.
Yes.
She's trying to catch up with him. And
See,
cash in.
I think it could possibly go either way. I think maybe they hatched this plan back in New York
True.
because he followed her on the train.
That's true.
So, but
that could be too.
could be. But at the same time, why would he be surprised when she shows up at that party? But anyway.
But she's kind of
Maybe she wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah, maybe it's like she's overstepping her boundary within the plan a bit. Or something.
and she does that a couple of times because she's like
she's as tough as he is.
Because later on he says like I couldn't get this money. You got to give me a couple of days. And she's like, what am I supposed to do for the next couple of days? So I get the impression she's kind of pushy.
Yeah.
So they probably were like, I'll meet you at some point in San Francisco or wherever the hell they are.
Yeah, they're in San Francisco.
And then she just probably like sucked up to this junior guy,
Yeah.
so she could get invited to, and so she totally catches him off guard when she shows up.
Yes.
But they're definitely in cahoots.
Yeah, they're in cahoots for sure.
Yeah.
There's some cahooting going on.
And then like morons. Then he finds out that Joan Crawford, Myrna.
Well, he
Joan
goes.
Crawford.
He goes to Steve's office, pretending that he's looking for work because he
Right.
doesn't want to be a kept man, and that's when he starts snooping around about
And then
details of her will, and
which
whatnot.
she was going to change
Yes,
and leave everything to him.
yes,
Because the original will her lawyer wrote out was just going to give him $10,000 a year
Mm-hmm.
until he got married. What she was going to change that to give him everything and no stipulations on getting married.
Isn't it
again.
adjusted for inflation? Like, what if he lives? What if he doesn't get married until like the 80s?
Well,
$10,000 a year is not that great. Actually, wouldn't be bad.
No, $10,000 is not that great.
Yeah.
Like coming from someone with incredible wealth like she had,
Sure.
$10,000 is really just some chicken scratch.
sure. You know, it's better than not having 10,000.
Yeah, but that's not what he's expecting.
No, not at all. He's a dick. So.
Yeah, and then that's what he.
Any
That's,
mere mortal would be happy with that $10,000 a year, but
yeah.
this is like it might take it a bit of an insult, but it's
Yeah.
like it's 10,000 more
but
than you have.
not for the
before.
pumpkin beast. The
Not
pumpkin
for this guy.
who lives
Nope.
below the floorboards of some
I
theater in
certainly,
New
if someone
York.
wants to leave me $10,000 a year, I'm not going to pull a Jack Palance on you, okay?
But if
Stop
you-
hinting,
if you-
Alex.
if
I
you-
don't have it.
But if you had invested all this time and effort to seduce Dylan, and then he left you,
Like on the SkyTrain,
Yeah.
we just bump into each
Yeah,
other.
that's right. and then in Dylan's will, he leaves you like a mere pittance. Like you have to take care of his dog and his fish, and you have to like massage hobos for Anyway, so like you have to sleep in a haunted house.
But yes, decides
She puts the kibosh on that.
Yeah, she doesn't want
But
to
he doesn't
totally
know that.
spoil him wrong.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so then he
And
hatches
she
the
starts
plan.
dictating into her machine the
Right.
changes that she wants to do, which are so overwhelmingly in favor of Jack Palance.
She's leaving Lester lots.
Yes.
She's leaving him everything.
Leaving Lester lots. And then the movie ends. And they live happily ever after, and then she dies, and then
What?
he gets all the money.
Well, you watched a different movie than I did.
And then Lester,
So they
for
have
whatever
another.
reason, the tape deck is still running.
Well,
Yeah.
no, because
she didn't turn it off, and it's voice activated.
Yeah, it's voice activated, and she narrates she dictates the new
She sure does.
pro Jack Palance stipulations of her will. Then she leaves the
everyone
room
does.
because a party's starting,
Right.
and this is the party where Jack Palance and Gloria Graham sneak off together and come up with a really nasty plan about Joan.
Yeah, and then this is the sudden fear part.
Sudden fear part. The next day after this party, she comes into the room and her assistant mentions that the dictaphone had been left on,
Right.
and Joan Crawford says, "No, it wasn't," but maybe I forgot.
And then she listens. Then she
I
listens
was
to
so
it.
gay last night. She
Yes,
says
that's
again.
right.
Yeah.
She replays what she recorded, not realizing that other things have been recorded. She replays her will just to sort of hear the terms again, and then
she hears their devious plan.
And for me, this is such an incredible moment. Like her acting, her expressions, her reactions.
Because
hearing.
it's all her.
Yeah.
It's all her.
Yeah.
Hearing. I love this scene.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was the best scene in the movie.
Incredible, where she overhears what's been recorded.
Until she takes it. I don't know what it's made out of. It's like clay or weighs like 30 pounds. And then she
drops it.
She tries to hide it in a bookshelf, and then one of those
drops it and
awkward
breaks it.
fumbles and breaks it. So she has no evidence.
But what I really love is when at the end of the recording, because they're basically coming up with ways. It's Jack Palance and Gloria Graham have snuck off during the party, gone into this room, not knowing the dictaphone's on.
We know this.
They've come up with this awful plan.
Yep.
It's
to
a really
kill
good
her.
plan, actually.
Well, it's a great plan, but I just mean so cruel and mean.
Devious.
It's all about the will, about bumping her off. And what's so brilliant is the record has reached the end, and it skips on the femme fatale saying over and over again, "I know a way, I know a way,
Yeah, that was
I
awesome.
know a way," and it's totally
horrifying.
And then the next day she has to pretend that she's
be
still in love with him.
Oh, yeah.
And you can
And
see
then-
her face. It's like her
know.
eyes like
and
that.
not only are they plotting to murder her, it's also, oh God, she's the worst.
She's repulsive.
The way I make love to her, she'll never, whatever. That's why they call me Jack Balance and man. And
It's
and that's
like
and,
they
and so, but
totally
not the way I love
trash her.
you, Ilsa, whatever her fucking name is.
They say
And
it's
that's
just-
where he says, "I love you so much I could break your bones." I know it's the third time I've mentioned it, but I just love the line so much.
It's such a good line.
Disturbing line, yeah.
And he could. He probably accidentally.
He's a huge man.
That's sociopathic love for you, right?
Yeah. Well, I love it in the there's a scene when she looks at her bed and his pillow. It's this enormous indent on it. Like his head weighs like 45 pounds.
It's like
it's
like the comet that killed the dinosaur.
Yeah. It's pretty funny. But then later you find out they have separate rooms as well. Like he sleeps in a different room.
Back then that was kind of common, like separate beds.
But why did he have a broken pillow on her bed then?
Well, I mean, they obviously sleep together sometimes, but he mostly goes into the separate room because she's pretending to be sick.
Right.
So he's just giving her some space.
He gives her that big sleeping pill. You see the size of that thing?
Yeah.
I thought it was like a suppository or something. It was so massive.
It was almost as big as his head.
I know. Well, she obviously she didn't take it for good for her, but
for a horrible moment, I thought this movie was going to be Marino was getting the wrong idea because they were rehearsing.
Actually, that would have probably been a pretty good twist as well.
Please tell me they're not rehearsing a play, and the recording was gone, and now she's going through all this shit, but she's just getting the wrong idea. And I was relieved that was not the twist.
Then she stays up all night. Like she's just wide awake in her bed.
Yeah,
and she has the same look on her face in the morning as she does when she
has incredibly striking eyes.
Yes, for sure.
Just imagining Jack Palance throwing her out of a window and saying,
"Yeah, she has a nightmare like of these weird things." He's smothering her with a pillow. She does.
The falling out of the window is the best.
It's hilarious.
He bites her head off.
It looks ridiculous and over the top, but it's supposed to be dream imagery.
Yeah.
So
well,
it looks great. I really wish more movies would do montages like that.
It's just
he smothers her with a pillow.
Because it's supposed to be an accident. They're going to make it look like an accident. Yeah. Smothering someone with a pillow is not an accident.
No, it's not.
He throws her out of a hot air balloon.
Yeah.
He drowns her in the Marianas Trench.
Yeah, she
throws her into a shower with Kevin Spacey.
He feeds her a bunch of cherries, and she's allergic to cherries.
He
locks her in the shower with Kevin Spacey.
Hands me another PBR.
Yeah,
when did you become a
lion?
hipster?
The lion
hold on. You're the original hipster.
That stuff's the worst. That's the worst fucking beer.
I drink it at the Rio.
Despite what Dennis Hopper says, that stuff is terrible.
PBR?
Yeah. It was cheap.
It's better than...
It's not better than anything.
It's better than warm beaver piss.
Maybe.
Yeah. But cold beaver piss, forget it.
Yes.
So anyway, now she's got, oh my God, this guy who looks like a fucking hulking behemoth.
She's sneaking out to get a key cut to her apartment.
Yes.
Which is in
the femme fatale.
Which is in Jack Palance's.
She swipes. Yeah, this is what I really love about the movie because she totally starts to come up with her own devious plan to get them back, and she swipes the key he has for his lover's apartment and gets it cut, and then starts trying to outsmart the two.
I love when she returns the key, he wakes up because he's asleep in his room. And the first thing he does when he wakes up, he rolls over and lights up smoke.
Yeah.
So he's like laying in bed smoking.
Yes.
Like that's the first thing you do in the morning.
I
It's
actually
like,
used to
so
do that.
gross.
In the 90s I did that.
Really?
Yeah.
It's so gross. I never smoked. I've always found smoking disgusting, and to wake up and have a smoke.
Think of all the cancer you're missing out on.
Oh, I always miss it.
I really wish I hadn't smoked as much as I did. And that was a good scene when she has to sneak in when he's scenes like that always freak me out. It reminded me of that scene in Trainspotting when Renton takes the bag out of sleeping Begbie's arm. You know, do you remember that?
I haven't. No,
I
I've
only saw Trainspotting once, brand new in the theater, and I loved it.
Actually,
I
I
never
haven't.
revisited
Same here. I haven't seen it since the
I haven't
theater.
seen it since.
Was
I
that
don't remember
96
the
or something
finer
like that?
details, but it's a great film.
It's my favorite film of the 90s. Full stop.
Look at that. We should do a favorite films of the 90s.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I know what yours is.
But now you know what mine is.
I know.
But there's a terrifying bit where one character takes a bag of money out of a sleeping maniac's hands.
Begbie's the maniac.
Yeah. And this had the same feeling, but instead of like tiny Robert Carlyle, it's gigantic Jack Palance, and she has to creep in.
Yeah.
At least they didn't do like the creaking floorboard or whatever.
Or a cat.
And it is
actually, there's a cat.
There is a
in
cat,
this
There is.
and that kind of let me down a little bit.
Yeah.
When I saw it.
I
But
like
then
it.
I was like, 1952. I'll let the cat go.
It worked for me.
And it's also interesting to see that key cutting machine technology has not developed at all.
Has not advanced
in 70
at all.
years. It's the same
So-
screeching, noisy.
That's the one
Like-
trade that has never been put out of business by like techno. It's never been rendered
Nope.
obsolete by newer technology.
What about getting your hair cut?
Oh, and prostitution.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, prostitution.
Put a pin in that balloon, let it go all over the
Yeah.
place. Yeah. Anyways, there's
and getting your key cut. Now that would be a one-stop shopping opportunity. Haircut, blowjob, getting your key cut.
Yeah.
Or is getting your key cut like an analogy for? It
No,
must be.
It's not an analogy for anything.
Huh.
But there's actually a really funny line. The femme fatale says to Pumpkinhead, "You don't suppose she suspects anything?" He's like, "Not the way I make love to her."
That's right.
Yeah.
and then they're in an
Not
office.
the way I make love to her.
I don't know what that means. Like, well, why, like because you're
Like before you bone, you're highly suspicious.
yeah.
I fucked the common sense right out of her. She
And then-
married me after I fucked her.
There's actually a scene in an office. There's a little mechanical dog.
Yeah.
It actually scared the shit out of me when it first started moving.
Well, the mechanical dog is in the woman's house. It's not in Joan Crawford's
Okay,
house.
wherever it was.
It's in the
it's in the
Fatale's
is it?
house,
Okay.
yeah.
So
Because that's right. Because she breaks in there before her
Later
pleasure
on,
to make
and
sure
that dog
the key
figures
works.
prominently.
And then they have the key doesn't work really work, and she has to like kind of break in,
Yeah.
which I thought was going to be a really good plot point, but nothing really came of that again.
No, it's just
Adding-
supposed to
adding
scare you
tension.
along the way. Yeah, it's just added tension.
Yeah.
It's just showing you how hard it is to try
and
to
then,
get
and
nasty things by people's back.
she's rifling through her apartment, and she pulls out a box, and there's a bottle of poison.
Yeah,
Actually, says
marked
poison with the skull and crossbones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know
I love it.
that's a dated moment, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I
I
love that.
loved it
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
I like that when she's returning the key, Jack Palance's key. Yeah, he's got a cigarette. Yeah, I never.
And she reaches for a lighter.
But she has to discreetly put the key back without him noticing, so she drops the key and then grabs one of those old
Those
Mrs.
giant-
Robinson.
Yeah, there's like
the
8-pound lighters.
graduate.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could beat a fucking water buffalo to death with
You
it.
could.
So
But-
yeah, so
and-
let's detail what her plan actually is.
Okay, well, so she starts off by forging some notes.
Yes.
So she's practices both of
Handwriting of both of them.
Yeah, but both of their handwriting
all
just
night
like-
long. You
all
see,
night
you
long.
see it. It's like
Yeah. So you don't know what her plan is. You see her doing these things to set them up.
All I thought to myself at this point, she's going to play them off one another.
Well, and she does.
viciously.
And she sends them to the lake house.
Yes.
Saying, so we're going to go there for a vacation, and then she can't go, so you go. But then she knew
Well, she sends Jack Palance there to get the house ready.
and she knew that Jack Palance will be taking
his trollop.
maybe
Take
his
her there,
trollop,
yeah.
yes.
And it would also just get him out of the house.
And so then she could break into her house.
Exactly, yeah. She sets it up. And by the way, the listeners should know there's a deadline here for the will to be changed over the
Right?
weekend.
Yeah. It has to
So
be done on the
she's
weekend.
trying to just get
Cheers,
rid of
mate.
him so she can pull her own dastardly plan together.
Yeah. And so she's putting it all together, and then he comes back, and then she's got the notes that she has to give. Like one note is written from her, not from her, from the femme fatale to Jack Palance, and then vice versa.
Yeah, it's meet me at the garage at midnight.
and then
And
meet me
at your house.
yeah.
Yeah. And you're not sure how she's going to do it. At first, when I first saw this, I assumed, okay, she's going to get the authorities involved and get them to overhear them talking or something.
Right.
But really, she's just looking for, it's not even justice at this point. She wants cold, calculated
Murder.
revenge
Yeah.
against the two people who are out to get her.
Yeah,
It's not about justice
She wants
at all.
to. The one letter gets the trollop to leave her apartment at midnight and go wait for Jack Palance in a garage.
Yeah.
And it says, wait no longer than half an hour and then come back if I'm not there. And then the other letter to Jack Palance says, hey,
Meet
big
me at the
boy,
apartment.
come to my
House,
place
I have
at
a plan.
midnight exactly.
Yeah, come and crush my bones.
Just come on, crush my. Yes, and there's another really great like montage sequence where she's imagining the whole thing, and you can actually see her handwriting.
Yeah.
Because she actually details her plan, her murder plan.
Oh, that's a.
She
She has
destroys
an amazing
I
list
know
of
she
her murder
destroys it,
list.
but never write down your murder plan.
No, of course. She destroys it. I still gave it a pass in this film. It works because how else are you going to know what the hell she's
Oh,
thinking?
totally.
And I could see someone like if she was, she's writing out a murder plan, but it's like, this is a screenwriter and stuff. If she was going to plan something like that out, she would have to make notes.
And,
she does destroy them.
And it's a good
she
plan.
She does destroy them.
So and the idea is that she's going to get Jack Palance to. She's going to break into the trollop's apartment and hide. Jack Palance will come over at midnight. She'll come out of the closet. Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah. Well, she also, part of her plan is she puts shoe polish on her ankle. And then she throws herself down the stairs to make it look like she twists her ankle, so she can't go away.
But then
I love that scene.
On the actual night that like the plan will be that she comes out and she shoots Jack Palance and then just leaves his body and the murder weapon there, and then or hides the murder weapon in the trollop's apartment somewhere.
Right. And then
she comes home and then presumably she's murdered.
And at this point in the movie, I totally thought to myself, this is going to end so badly for Joan Crawford. I thought to myself, she's going to plan. It's kind of like, like in Vertigo or whatever, like she's trying to do her own revenge and it's going to totally backfire.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Well, because whenever you have a plan in movies, it never goes obviously the way it goes.
Yeah.
But even if you have a great list, I like the list like stuff like leave home.
Yeah.
And then
it's all 10 p.m.
And then there's get bananas and cat food.
Here's a crazy one.
And then I think there's like return videos.
There is another list that she could have done, which would just be one bullet point. It would be get a divorce.
Yeah, there's that. She had to survive the weekend. They were planning on murdering her that weekend. She had to survive the weekend.
She just wants revenge. She's being totally nasty. She's down at their level at this point.
Yeah, down and dirty, Joan Crawford. Yeah, but I did also think you could get in a fucking car and drive away.
Yeah,
exactly. There really isn't much of her life is really in peril.
No, because after
but that's what it is. It's revenge.
Yeah,
that's what I really love.
Well, there's a scene when they're awkwardly kissing, and just before.
Oh,
and then
it's so weird.
It's so awkward.
It's like he's sucking her soul out through her mouth.
Totally.
Like the way he kisses. He's like the
because she has those trusted friends, Steve and Junior, and you think. Like, if I were in her position, I'd just be like, they're out to get me, and then include them, and somehow the three of you, like, they're lawyers. Somehow you could outsmart these two and get them to confess. But still...
There's a scene when she's in the chair and he's talking to her, and he's not saying anything, he's just standing there, just glowering at her.
That's true,
he's
so fed up.
His eyes are like
he looks
burning
so evil
holes.
Point.
That's actually a pretty great scene.
Yeah, it is great.
It does look like his face is just too tight. It's just weird.
Yeah. It's an unusual looking.
He's like a creature from beyond.
I wrote a little list of stuff that I would add to her list. And one of them was carve a Jack Palance pumpkin. Why not? You got time?
Make Jack O'Lantern Palance.
He's like at this point he's
Jack human bag made of scrotum.
He's just the most obviously guilty, suspicious person now at this point. Although he's still a little bit suave, but like
the plan's in action. Femme Fatale's closet. And she comes home with Junior.
She goes to the apartment.
We haven't actually. Have we talked about how she hurls herself down the stairs?
Yeah,
and then slips the letters into their.
One in the pocket, one into the glove. Yeah.
Oh, but he gets the letter, because she slips the letter into the glove, and then Femme Fatale, she's like, oh, and she goes like, excuse me for a second. She goes like 10 feet away and like opens up this letter and like, oh, go to the water closet. Lady.
Also, it's revealed at this moment, which comes into play later, is that. Coincidentally, or is it, the Femme Fatale and Joan Crawford are wearing the same outfits?
Yes, which is planned. Because she wants to be seen wearing the headscarf and the white dress, walking around, going into the building, and all that kind of stuff.
Right,
she has a pretty darn good plan.
I never picked up on that. I couldn't quite.
Yeah, because
she mentioned, we have on the same outfits. Should I go change?
Yeah.
So the plan is in action. Oh yeah, it's when she says to Jack Palance, "Well, we're not going to the country house or whatever," and he's just like staring at her like he wants to break her neck with his little finger.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
You can just see the wheels turning in his mind and the murderous bird wheels.
Yeah, like a disappointed ghoul.
Yeah.
Um,
The worst kind of ghouls.
You want a happy ghoul.
Yeah.
You keep your ghoul happy,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen.
Keep your ghoul happy.
For the handwriting, it's the handwriting for the femme fatale, the fake handwriting that Joan Crawford's doing. Beautiful, elegant, cursive. It's almost calligraphy.
Yeah.
And then Jack Palance's is like it's like he wrote it with a baseball glove on. Like it's like we meet you at midnight.
Yeah.
We
like milk.
Kill
Drink
wife,
milk.
drink milk, have sex. So anyway, so the plan's in action.
Yeah.
Joan Crawford, so Jack Palance and the femme fatale have gone their separate ways. They don't know that anything's up. So Joan Crawford, she dresses up all beautiful.
She looks like the femme fatale.
That explains why she was.
She got the headscarf on and the white dress, and then she breaks into again with the keys not quite working, but she breaks into it and she hides in the closet, and then she comes home with Junior, and Junior's like all over. It's like not taking no for an answer. It's like really gross actually.
They comment on that a lot, and there's also a scene when Joan Crawford's on her way to the apartment.
The drunk we're talking about at the beginning of the podcast.
Is totally groping her.
He's like who would say yes to that?
They take a lot of shots at sleazy dudes in this movie, and it includes Junior, who so far seems like the sweetest guy, and he's being totally gross.
Yeah, it was gross.
It is gross, but she manages to get rid of him because she's an extremely tough cookie.
And then she goes out to the garage where she thinks she's going to be meeting Jack Palance.
And Joan Crawford's hiding in the closet has the gun.
And Jack Palance shows up.
Yes.
And
plays with that dog.
It was so weird.
Yeah, with that scary dog.
Yeah, he's incredibly sweaty and nervous at this point.
He's got to kill some time, so he lights a cigarette and plays with a mechanical wind-up dog,
wow,
as you do.
Yeah.
When you're meeting with your murder conspirator.
And I love how the dog marches over to the door where Joan.
Oh yeah,
hiding.
There's a great scene where she's watching it.
And the dog's like sniffing her out.
It makes me wonder if they had a real dog that they couldn't train. And they had to replace it with a wind-up dog on the day.
Probably
because all the dogs were dead.
The wind-up dog.
Mechanical wind-up toys are really common.
And it added tension to it, too, because you can see it slowly marching towards her. And then there's a scene from his perspective where it's like the closet's slightly ajar and the dog's like face right against it.
Yeah.
Like,
he comes up to play with the dog again.
Yeah.
And you think he's going to see her, but he gets freaked out by the phone ringing.
Right. Yeah, the way he looks up, you think he's looking at her in the closet.
That's true. The phone, at first I thought it was like he's recognized her perfume or something.
Yeah.
But he, it's really scary this part. And he also, earlier in the scene, right before he shows up, the phone rings again. Earlier, and
horrible.
Her phone is just ringing off the hook.
So
who's calling her?
So Jack Palance ends up answering the phone the second time it rings while he's there, and it's Junior who basically gives away that he had dropped her off at this house.
Right. So
and
he knows.
He's wondering where the hell she is.
Right.
He's freaking out looking for her.
And he turns on all the lights.
Yeah.
Oh man, and that's a very well directed scene. Because Jack Palance knows something's up.
Yeah.
And he keeps and she has dropped the gun in the dark.
Oh right.
And
it's sitting on the living room floor.
Yeah, but he hasn't noticed it yet. And then he stubs his toe on the gun.
By the way, we forgot a major plot point too.
We did.
She comes out before his arrival. She's waiting at the house to shoot him. And I think she comes out when the phone's ringing. She sees herself in the mirror and realizes she can't.
Oh, that's a great moment.
Scene, yeah.
It's a great moment.
See herself in the mirror, and she looks crazy.
She does look crazy, and then she realizes what she's doing. She sees her own reflection holding the gun. She can't go through with it.
She has a bit of a breakdown.
So she hides in the closet without the gun.
Right.
And drops it in fear, and is in the closet completely defenseless.
Is there something with like a monogrammed hanky as well?
Yeah. Well, here's what it is. He searches the apartment for his lover, not knowing that Joan Crawford's there.
Right.
When he's in the other rooms looking, he even pulls across the shower curtain at one point. No Kevin Spacey. He does. But it's like he's searching every nook and cranny for him. When he comes back into the living room, he sees the closet door open. He sees the front door open, so he looks into the closet. He's like, what's going on here?
Right.
And he finds Joan Crawford's handkerchief with her name on it, or at least her initials.
Maybe we should get those. We should get them from the store.
Or Black Dog sell them here. Black Dog hankies.
Not a bad idea.
Oh yeah. I got a wanky hanky, but I don't have to talk about it all much.
So he freaks out.
Just one.
He freaks out. He realizing that she must have been there.
Right.
So he starts now looking for Myra, who is Joan Crawford.
Right, and then chasing her around the town.
Chases around, he sees her,
Which
and
is-
he chases her around the neighborhood.
Which is the part? What's the part with the cat?
The
When she
direction.
steps on the
I
cat.
like that.
But-
I
but-
like
but
that.
before-
It was yeah.
Before
No,
we-
it worked for me.
It was always
There's
one
a
thing.
great moment while they're still in the apartment, and she's in the closet, and I love that you never see her leave. It follows Jack Palance's perspective down the hallway, and he's like opening.
Yeah.
He goes in the bathroom. I think there's a fur coat on the bathroom floor for some reason, or maybe it was just
I don't know.
Well, he pulls the shower curtain.
And then he comes running back in the living room, and then he sees. Like you never actually see Joan Crawford make a run
No,
for
he
it.
sees the closet door open.
It's a beautiful. It's just a really well directed.
Oh,
I guess
yeah,
it was
it
like a
is, yeah.
steady cam if they had steady cam.
No, they
Yeah,
did.
absolutely. It wasn't invented yet, but
But here's where the movie gets almost like an action movie.
the chasing around the
like
town.
there's this great chase scene.
It is actually a really good
really
chase scene.
great
When
chase scene.
she's running down like a row of tenement houses or something, and he's after her, and
And they
they're
make
crashing
great
about.
use, since it's in San Francisco, all the steep hills and
Although I
interesting
have to
architecture.
think people may have woken up at some point when all the crashing and banging
Well,
and
she-
cat stepping on was going on.
Okay, so like talk about being a woman. You know, it's always been more difficult than being a man. But in the 50s, like earlier, she runs into a guy. She bumps into him quick. This drunk guy who was like
gropey
full
man.
on like red buttons.
Is
like,
that the guy we're talking about? Touch Cousins or whatever his name is.
Maybe I don't know, but he's doing the most stereotypical like vaudeville drunk.
Yeah.
Like nobody, his hat's all
Is
crooked.
that like a W.C. Fields movie or
It
something?
was, except W.C. Fields, he did drunk well, whereas
Yes.
this guy was just like, I'm surprised he didn't have like little bubbles coming out, like, and big
Yeah,
red nose.
in the movie.
She's being chased by Pumpkinstein, and fucking, and some guy is going into the apartment, and she's screaming, "Help me! I'm being chased
Yeah.
by Pumpkinstein!" And he actually, not only does he close the door, he pushes her out of the building.
He looks at her, sees she's in trouble, and then runs in the building.
Yeah,
like he's
that's-
like, "I don't want
pushes
Pumpkinstein
the-
mad
yeah.
at me."
But I'm not joking. You know, there's a great moment. I'm not joking. Fast forward to the 70s. John Carpenter's Halloween, where Jamie Lee Curtis is pounding on doors when she knows that Michael Myers is zeroing in on her. She's hammering on doors like, "Help me, help me," and they're turning off the lights. And
It's
stuff.
always
That's not uncommon.
No, it's not
People
uncommon, but like,
refusing to help.
Well, there's also that famous real life thing that happened in the 70s. in New
Kitty
York.
Genovese.
Yeah.
Well, it was earlier than the 70s, though, I think.
Was it maybe in the 50s?
50s or 60s.
I think maybe in the
but
50s. Yeah, maybe that was a little something, saying a little something about that.
there is a lot.
Was that on the New York subway?
No,
No,
it was a
somebody
woman
being-
in the courtyard of her building.
Being murdered and all the
Did nothing. Everyone was like, "Oh, we thought someone else was going to call for help." No, that's not uncommon. People not helping. Like, trust me, if you
I do
were
trust
really
you.
in peril yelling for help, a lot of people won't stop and help you.
Nope.
Sadly.
I wouldn't help me. Look at me.
I know that moment I found so horrifying. The guy refusing to help.
I actually
All he has to do is pull her in, shut the damn
actually
door.
made me mad. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you fucker. I hope you live a horrible life after this.
No.
Yeah. I
No,
died.
no, he was old. He died soon anyway.
Okay.
She's running and running and running,
Right.
and it was such a well orchestrated action.
And
scene.
then he's chasing her in a car.
He chases her along, like she hides in like an outside of an weird apartment building.
Is this when she steps on the cat?
She's on the second floor, I think, and then
she's on the first floor. He's on the second floor.
No, he's on the first floor, and then she steps on the cat, and he hears the cat,
Right.
the stock footage cat. She accidentally
Yeah.
bumps a videotape of a cat that had been
I don't
filmed
know
like
why
a
you
year
guys
earlier.
are picking on this moment. I liked it.
It's ridiculous.
Cats
It's not
are-
ridiculous.
It's only because
never make
back
that
then it
sound.
wasn't cliche, but now it's cliche.
Yeah,
Because
it totally is.
she steps on a cat's tail with her high-heeled shoes.
Yeah, she doesn't even see the cat sitting there when she's
No.
standing there.
No.
Why would she?
Because it's a
Staring at
fucking
guy
cat.
who's trying to
Because
murder
it's a
her for
cat.
The
Christ's
cat was
Cat-
getting revenge.
it's not- it's
on-
not like
on-
a little
I would
It's not like an
easily
invisible
miss a
cat.
if some dude was trying to kill me.
I would still notice the cat.
I
I
probably
like
wouldn't
cats.
notice a goddamn giraffe.
I don't think a cat would be
Really?
sitting next to a panicked woman while Pumpkinstein is on a
Nope.
rampage.
Well, you don't know.
He's
that.
overturning cars.
Well, he is in this film, so leave it alone.
He's full on falls off a drain pipe and falls like 3 stories.
Yeah.
And nobody wakes up. I'm saying all this racket. People have been like, the lights would have been coming on. I would have been.
Guys, think about. We live in Vancouver here in East Van. You must have heard insane noises at night. Do you always flip on your lights?
Every
Depends-
fucking
it depends.
dude,
It
my
depends.
apartment faces an alleyway on Commercial Drive.
So do you flip on the light every time?
He lives in the alley.
I do sometimes.
Maybe you wouldn't on this night.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't
It's not important.
So Jack Palance is on the rampage. She's running. He gets into a fucking kick-ass convertible clunker. Oh, this
Yeah.
car is so big though. You can't effectively
It's a
run
boat.
someone over in one of these things.
Well,
He does like a
crush them.
4-point turn to chase her. Did you notice that? Because
Yeah.
he gets in the car and he's kind of chasing her, and she just like runs across the street and then back the other way.
Actually, that was great because he was backing up, and then she was running, and she stopped and ran back the other way,
Yeah.
and he couldn't turn
Yeah,
around
it's
because
so
the car's too
mad.
big.
It's fucking massive. Like it's like a Lincoln, it's a convertible Lincoln Continental, if such a thing exists. Yeah, he does do like a 3-point turn.
Gloria Graham is because she went to to meet him at the
Garage.
garage, wasn't there, so she's heading back into her
In the
neighborhood.
same outfit.
In the same outfit.
Yeah. So Jack
So
Palance.
you can see where this is gonna go because he's trying to run
I
her down.
still
This point.
didn't see it right away.
Really?
Thought it might be like her joining in on the chase.
Because Joan Crawford is hiding on the other side of a fence, and so the trollop comes out of her building and starts walking down the street.
And she's trying to get the lock off the fence, and she's having trouble with it because if she actually got the lock off the fence, she would have been caught.
She would, yeah. So it's lucky that fence is there.
Yeah.
And
the
Jack
lock.
Palance he's palancing out, and then
He's totally balancing out.
and he sees the trollop down at the bottom of the hill, and he's like, I know the most discreet way I can murder Myrna is by running her over in my enormous truck.
He's
Yeah.
just
In
so
front of-
desperate and out of his mind.
Well, yeah, he's crazy.
Yeah, well, at that point, your plan is out the window. You
It's
might
true.
you might as well give it up.
Yeah,
As a-
I guess it's just because he knows she knows now, so he has to get rid of her. It's like it's not even about discreetly getting away with it anymore. It's like she knows the jig's up.
The
She's
jig's
gonna
up,
turn
man.
me over, and
That's
I'm
it.
fucked.
For some reason, Joan Crawford's quite bothered by this woman who is going to murder her, getting run
Well,
over by the guy
you
who
know
was going
what?
to murder. She's like, no, don't. It was Irma.
No,
Yeah.
but
Like-
here's the thing, though. At that, I really love that moment because it shows that she's a genuinely good person in the end.
Well, I
It's run over. She doesn't. She's changed her mind. She doesn't want to rub them out. I'm sure she wants to not be killed by them. I'm sure she wants to have them punished by the authorities.
You seem pretty sure about all this.
But she cries out when she realizes that a horrible case of mistaken identity is about to happen. But it's because
should be
she's
murdering
she's
me.
a good person.
Well, I don't
She's
think
a
she
good
didn't want to
person.
kill her. She wanted to kill him. She wanted him dead.
No,
because
but
that was the plan.
But the plan,
But then
though,
she would go to prison.
But
Then.
Yes.
no. In their fantasy, the other woman gets sentenced to death.
Oh,
that's right.
So
That's right.
she's totally,
I
And-
forgot
and
about
she's
that.
come down from that, and
Right.
she doesn't take into
And,
justice.
and in that
Yeah.
fantasy, it's so great because all it is, it's really because it's in her imagination,
It
so
is,
it's not
yeah.
realistic. The trollop is just sitting there in a chair,
In a dark
still
room.
all dressed, all beautiful,
Yeah.
and then you just hear a voice going like, "You're sentenced to life in
Yeah.
prison" or whatever, and she just starts screaming.
No, it's
Yeah,
death.
no.
You were sentenced to death.
Yeah, but like
Yeah.
that's going to be the court. She's just sitting in a chair.
Yeah,
no, I know. It's
yeah, that's
in a
unrealistic.
dark
room.
Like I didn't think
No,
for
I
a minute.
wanted it
Yeah.
to. That's why I like it. Is that it's
Well,
unrealistic?
this is
Oh
good.
no, I know what you mean. But when I saw that scene too, I thought to myself, that is not going to work out that way, Joan Crawford. Like you are setting yourself.
not.
And then she
You're
walks,
such a
and then
fail.
and then Joan Crawford just sort of is like, "Oh no," Jack Palance is quite upset, and then so Joan Crawford turns around, she walks up the hill, and I believe that's the end of the movie.
She does, and she throws the
Jack
headscarf
Palance
up.
is not quite upset. Jack Palance is quite dead.
Yeah.
What did he
They're-
die?
the
Yeah,
both
he
of them
dies.
did. They both died.
I guess you were
Because
you were making another
sandwich.
at this
You
point.
wasn't really hungry.
No, I'd moved on to dessert.
But yeah,
I
but yeah,
had a
he
chocolate
runs
fondue.
over.
I can't do everything at once.
He runs
Don't you have, like,
over his. He
sandwiches for
runs
dessert?
over.
I
the
eat during
lover
movies,
Yeah.
man.
and
wipes the car
dies,
out.
and because some
Car-
bystanders show up at this point, bystanders that you've all been desperately waiting for. You
all
two,
of a sudden,
suddenly
sure
run out,
they
and
show.
they see it's a crash, and they actually
Say
saying
that.
that they're both dead.
I mean, it's only a city of millions. I can't, it's a small town.
It's actually not. San Francisco's not that big. It's about the size of Vancouver, like under $1 million, $100 million people.
Oh, that really?
I think so.
No.
I could be wrong, especially in 1952. I don't think there's
Oh
a million
god,
people
yeah. There's like 20 people living there.
Yeah.
It was like Deadwood.
there. Grateful Deadwood.
So, anyways, okay. I assumed he was dead or whatever. He'd had his comeuppance, and so had she. And then Joan Crawford walks up the hill, and then
And then that movie
fades to
goes.
black.
She throws the head scarf off too, and it flows down the drain.
So, yeah. I mean, as far as does it hold up,
Well, considering nobody had seen it
considering
before.
I'd never even heard of it
Yeah.
until you mentioned. I mean, and then now I realize, you know, I read reviews and things online of people who are just like, "Fuck, this is like the best fucking film noir ever. No one's ever heard of it." Absolutely, I would 100% recommend this movie.
Yeah, well,
I've recommended it several times to customers since I watched it. The shifts I've had since being back, I have recommended it, and people have given me good
Jay
feedback.
Hamburger came back.
Jay Hamburger
Loved
loved
it.
it.
Yeah.
Local director,
Theater
of many
producer,
plays.
yeah.
I recommended it to him because it starts off playwright, actor, and then
It's terrific.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I loved it too. I thought it was amazing. It was one of the better noirs I've seen in a long time. I love noir.
Nice.
And I'm always looking to see something new. I have a tendency to go back and watch the ones I love.
Absolutely.
I've seen Double Indemnity like 6 times.
I've seen Double Indemnity is my top 5 movies of all time.
It's
That's
pretty good.
incredible.
And Out of the Past, and it's just
Scarlet Street.
Third Man. Like
Night of the Hunter.
I've never seen Scarlet Street.
Oh, it's so great.
Fritz Lang, right?
Shit, so many movies, so
I know.
little.
I saw it on Turner Classic
I had a guy when I was working yesterday. Because I bet you like Bill disappoint you when you get to watch all these movies. And I go, yeah, if I could live long enough to watch all these movies, I'd be happy.
Because I get asked a lot of questions like, I'm not joking, the most common questions like how many times have you seen all these movies? It's like, yeah, I wish.
There's we have 17,000 movies.
Like, I have to go and get fresh air sometimes.
Yeah.
I can't always just.
No.
And some of them aren't worth watching.
And I learned during the pandemic,
Forrest
I've
Gump.
done more, but realistically, just sitting at home doing it's about 4 a day max.
That's pretty good.
It's very good.
Fuck, man.
It's very good, but I mean,
I'm
like to go and take a
yeah,
stroll.
you gotta
around
take
the
a shower. You're not gonna
block.
masturbate.
You gotta
all
go
that
to
stuff.
bed. Right?
I did 4 in a movie theater once, and
I
felt really gross about it.
When I was at the film festival, I did 5 in one day.
Yeah,
and
I've done 4 or 5, maybe 6.
I felt
at
really
festivals.
squirrely and weird. I was smoking weed for every movie too, so I felt really squirrely and weird after like the 4th or 5th movie.
You're eating nuts. You're looking around furtively.
Yeah. I just wanted to go home.
You're running around traffic.
I just like, how do I get home? I just want to go home and go to bed.
You're antagonizing neighborhood cats.
But yeah, this was a fantastic noir.
Excellent.
I loved it.
Great
I'm
pick.
so glad to hear this from you guys.
Oh,
because
this movie.
All I wanted to do was this
here.
movie's got it all.
This movie's got it all.
Yeah.
It's got beautiful women. It's got great performances.
It's got Pumpkinhead.
It's got Pumpkinstein. It's a little bit camp. It's
That
got
era always
it's got
has
that
a bit of-
amazing old timey dialogue that I love.
Yeah.
And then in the last 15 minutes, the action direction, the way that camera moves. I mean, you don't see that in a lot of 1950s films. I mean, it looked like it was a steady cam. And then Jack Palance he's leaping around like a Lord of Leaping. He's like Jiminy Cricket just bound.
He was terrifying.
He's really agile. I think I read somewhere that he used to be a dancer or something. So he's not just push-ups and cowboy movies from the 90s. Jack Palance has got some creepy chops.
Did he do a lot of things back in that era? Because he's the leading man in this movie.
Well, he is.
He's
don't know
not
his full career.
He's not a leading man looking guy.
Yeah, I don't know his full career. I mean, I know he had a long career. He did a shit ton of films.
When was Shane? Because Shane was like the 40s.
It was
or
in the
50s.
50s, I think.
And he was the chief villain in that.
Yeah.
All that and a giant dick.
Yeah, I know. Who knew? Yeah, some people.
Joan Crawford, you know.
Joan Jett.
He used to bone her into
into dust.
Anyways, so let's say you're working a shift here.
Yeah, which we all do every now and then.
And somebody comes up to the counter and they go, "I got money for 2 movies."
Right.
And one of them I want to watch is the Sudden Fear movie
that I heard on your podcast.
And I heard all the spoilers, and I don't care. I still want to see. I want to see Jack Palance's giant dick.
Which you don't see in the movie, actually.
No, but it's in the extras.
Yeah.
Now, so Alex, you being the one who picked it, someone comes up. What would you pair this movie with? A second movie that would go really well with Sudden Fear.
I would pair it with another noir from this era that we recently added. It's a film called The Prowler. It showed up in a box of movies that we bought.
Not the 80s slasher movie.
No.
Okay.
No, it's a 50s noir. It showed up in a box that we bought. We added it to the stock, and it's a completely thrilling, gripping, sweat-inducing noir. Where it reminds me of Sudden Fear is an audio recording plays a really big part.
Oh, okay.
That's all I'm saying. But it's a superb, nasty double-cross noir. The Prowler, and I was completely impressed by it.
You could throw in The Conversation and Blowout, all those kind of movies that rely on
many. Yeah, there's many films like that, but I would personally pick The Prowler because it's also an obscure noir, and I just think they'd make a fantastic double bill.
Nice,
fantastic, Darren. How about you? Somebody comes up to the counter with Sudden Fear, wants to rent a second movie. What should that second movie be?
I'm going with another noir from this period. She might be in the same year, which I had never watched, and which I've been told I should watch many times.
You haven't seen it. This is brave.
Yes. No, I've already seen it. I just watched it about a month ago, but I've always been told I should watch this. It's called In a Lonely Place. Mm-hmm. Nicholas Ray,
Yeah.
Humphrey Bogart noir, where he plays kind of a lonely, unhinged screenwriter who gets involved with Gloria Graham.
Wow.
Oh.
I've
From this movie.
not seen it.
Yes.
That,
but,
she is trouble.
And it is
Across the street
it
if you
is,
see her coming.
I have to say, it's probably of all the Bogart movies I've seen, it's probably his best performance.
Ooh, nice.
He's so good, and it's such a good, gripping drama that just spirals out of control. It's fantastic.
I had a few. I'm not going to pull in Alex.
I have 7 picks.
I just had one today.
I know, it was impressive.
I was initially thinking The Last Seduction would be an interesting.
I love
That's
that movie.
an excellent film.
Linda Fiorentino. That's a great. She's a
excellent
great femme fatale in that. Great modern noir.
Oh yeah,
John
and the
Dahl.
whole time because the first noir I ever saw was The Last Seduction.
Oh.
And because I didn't even know what film noir was.
Right.
And I was just like, this is whoa, what's this?
Yeah.
There's
This
like
is blue.
there's like a murdering woman and the guys are all dopey and it's all
Yeah.
dark and shadowy and
Yeah.
there's like
There's
like
sex against a
suggestive
fence.
sex and
Yeah.
but in the end I went for another movie that I love that also features murder and lying and sinister machinations.
Jumanji.
No, it is. It's more recent than yours. It's The Talented Mr. Ripley.
Oh, which
Excellent film.
the Matt Damon, Anthony Mingala.
Yeah, it's Anthony Minghella. It's
Gwyneth Paltrow's
Gwyneth
in
Paltrow, Philip Seymour Hoffman,
Jude
Kate
Law.
Blanchett,
Jude
Jude
Law.
Law,
That's a
And-
great.
and
That's a great movie.
and
It's
even
an
the guy
excellent
who
film.
plays Jimmy Gator in the guy. He's a character actor. He's in all of P.T. Anderson's films.
Oh,
He's like the main one in Hard Eight.
Yeah, it slips in mind.
what's his name?
Philip.
He molested his daughter in Magnolia. He's the older
Okay,
guy.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But by the way,
I was hoping you were going to say it was a real
I mean,
life
everybody
thing.
was
no,
molested in Magnolia.
no. But I
Baker, something Baker.
Philip.
No, not Philip Baker
Philip-
Hall.
Stick this
Philip
back
Baker
in
Hall.
the section.
That's it. Yeah.
Yes. Anyways,
That
so
guy. That guy's great.
The Talented Mr. Ripley is similarly.
I only saw The Talented Mr. Ripley once, brand new on DVD back in the day.
Brand
Loved
new.
it.
I love
Loved
it. I love it. Josie, who works here, is a big fan and has actually read all of the Ripley books, which I weren't even.
There's a lot of.
I didn't know
of
they
it.
existed.
Have you watched Purple Noon?
No, I haven't
It's
seen Purple Noon yet.
The French original, and then there's
Yeah.
also Ripley's Game with
Ripley's
John
Game with
Malkovich.
I want to watch both of those.
That
Anyways,
one's good too.
I
They're all good.
love. It's a lot more lavish than Sudden Fear. Matt Damon's character kind of reminded me of Jack Palance because he's gentle, but he's also
because
like
they look the same.
yes, they're so similar. But Matt Damon has those monstrous teeth,
That's true.
whereas Jack Palance,
Those big
the entire
incisors.
body, everywhere except
That's
his teeth,
one,
is
sure.
monstrous.
Nice.
So, yes, The Talented Mr. Ripley. And that brings us to the end of our fantastic podcast. We
Ah.
didn't have a chance to give a shout out to Jefferson's.
Oh, let's talk about it right
barbershop.
now. Hey, they've reopened.
Yeah, they're open again. I
Yeah.
got a haircut about 2 months, maybe 5-6 weeks ago.
Yeah, I was about the same, but a month ago when they reopened. And
I'm already looking forward to my next one.
I had gone. Well, we had gone like months without a haircut.
Yeah.
Which is not a big deal. Actually, I kind of like my big crazy hair.
Yeah.
I like the way it was going. It was
Me too.
people
You
kept
kind of reminded me a bit of Jack Palance, but
A little bit, yes.
really
with that hair.
because of my bird like
Just terrifying hair.
Yeah, I look like a jack-o'-lantern that's been sitting
You
on
look
the
like
porch
Vincent Gallo.
until April.
He had amazing hair in this movie, by the way.
He did have great hair and good suits. So all the costumes are great in this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jefferson's Barbershop back open. They're back in business. Go
They're
get your
awesome.
haircut there.
They're
Good
like-
dudes,
they're
and I
like
think there's a woman that works here as
fourth.
well. She's never cut my hair, but Jeff's my guy for my hair.
Jeff's my guy too. We talk about Star Wars, we talk about Star Trek, comic books, the whole thing.
Yeah.
If you're if you are a fan of pop culture and you don't want to have a boring conversation,
and a
while
fan
you're
of
getting-
haircuts.
well, yeah, but the thing is, you're getting a great haircut, and it's not a tedious slog
Well-
where you have to
Well,
lie about what you do for a living.
It's also important in these crazy times that we're in to
Yes.
go and support your local businesses.
Yes,
Absolutely.
please do.
And
Absolutely.
those guys, they were closed for a long time. They didn't have any income. Thank you. And now they're back in business. And
Back in the saddle.
go get your haircut. Support them. Support any local business
that's
that you
Jefferson's Barbershop.
like. There's lots of great local businesses in your neighborhood. Support them all.
This has
But-
been a Black Dog video production for Black Dog Studios.
Oh,
For
we have
Black Dogs
studios.
everywhere and their human masters.
Yes, that's us.
So
That was a good one. It was nice to hang out with you guys again and do this.
It's been a while.
It's been a while, and
I'm really
know,
pleased you guys really dug the movie too.
Loved
I'm not
it.
gonna lie.
Loved
I was totally thinking like Darren, and then you like boring.
I can watch a black and white movie.
I know.
Actually,
guys.
if I'm putting money on anyone here really not to like it that much, it would have been you.
Why?
Because
I'm glad you guys
because
liked
you
it,
like you're not that.
Your favorite movie is Reanimator.
It is.
That's an
Yeah,
amazing.
I love
movie.
Reanimator.
That's
It's
a
my favorite
wonderful
movie.
movie.
I love it, but it's not.
In terms of the taste.
Anyway,
Yes.
look, I didn't mean to.
No,
ignite
I'm not.
something.
I'm not.
pleasantly surprised.
I'm not
you
criticizing
guys
your taste.
enjoyed it.
I just thought if anybody wouldn't have appreciated much because it's old, it's black and
Well,
white.
so we're leaving on an
I just-
insult. This is
No,
this has been
I'm
the,
pleasantly
this is the
surprised by how much
last
you
ever
guys-
episode. You guys can fucking edit it yourself. No. I mean, I guess maybe sometimes I'm.
No, I'm
Sometimes
really,
I'm
but
Mr.
just-
Grumpus Pants when I
I'm
watch
very
these movies.
pleased that you guys were so
Yeah.
into it. You see why she's such a legend.
She's a
because
movie star.
Her presence.
She's a fucking
in
movie
this
star.
film, those eyes,
Yeah.
her reactions.
Those Betty Davis eyes
are
she has
incredible.
that she
Oh,
stole
yeah.
from Betty Davis and put in her
Yeah.
own skull.
Marty Feldman,
But actually, I've got customers like I because what's happening right now with COVID, we're not getting a lot. There's no studio releases anymore.
Yeah.
Like, there's
Yeah.
no big movies we're bringing in for news. So we're scouring the planet to try and find lots of cool, interesting, indie stuff, foreign stuff, documentaries, that kind of stuff. And I've been and we have a great deal. You can get like 5 old films for $15 any day of the week. But I'm trying to promote that to get people to watch older films, such as this.
absolutely, yeah.
But I've got customers that are so against that. Oh, I don't watch any movies before I was born.
But
My kid, who we've been doing like a sort of film appreciation class since this has been going on, some of his favorite things have been Buster Keaton and Harold Lloyd and Charlie Chaplin and just older films like
Jonathan Fields.
I'm curious. Did you watch this with any of your family? Like, did they see something?
No. I watched this by
I was
myself.
just curious. Maybe they. fair
It's.
enough.
I kind of feel like there's a point in your life when you're growing up where you suddenly discover like old black and white movies.
Yeah.
For me, it was like late adolescence, probably on grade 12, because I took film video production in school,
Right.
and so our teacher would show us like old W.C. Fields or Touch of Evil.
Yeah, we watched The Bank Dick, and Gus loved The Bank Dick.
Oh man, Fields is the best.
Yeah.
The best. You know what? I should pick like It's a Gift or something for one of these podcasts.
Just before COVID became overtook everyone, I coincidentally watched Rabid with David Cronenberg. By the way, is this still being recorded?
We're still recording it.
But
Well, we could just sign out and continue
we
the
could just sign
conversation.
out. Let's just sign out.
Oh, this is interesting though.
Well, I
If
guess,
it works
but-
we don't have to keep it. But
We don't have to keep it, but Rabid has in the closing credits, there's a character referred to as Drunk Indian.
oh yeah,
And that's Cronenberg's Rabid, right?
right.
And just,
That's
the all-time brutal, vicious stereotype.
Yeah.
I mean, the character is drunk in a brief scene, but the fact that they referred to him as such, they could have just said person in police station, but the fact that it says drunk.
Yeah, it's terrible.
But,
Did you
Yeah, of
did you guys
course,
watch
I
the
mean,
Rabbit
it was-
remake, the Soska Sisters?
no, I haven't seen it yet. I will watch it at some
It's all right.
point.
It's all right.
I will watch it. And there was definitely room for, Rabid is, I really like Rabid. I love Cronenberg, but it's one of his earliest films, and it's still kind of crude. I mean, crudely made.
It's really crudely made.
And-
that and Shivers.
So
but
there
both
was
of those,
definitely room for, I would never remake something like Dead Ringers or The Dead Zone.
no,
But
no.
a remake of one of those early films makes sense.
It
because they were creepy.
didn't really improve on it.
I
though.
was actually
I haven't
thinking,
seen
and as great as not sudden death with
Sudden Death.
Sudden Fear.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Where
I'm
he gets into-
going to turn this off.
where he gets
now. There's
into
no
a
point in keep going.
he gets into a fist fight with the Pittsburgh Penguin. It's like the best fucking scene ever.
like the hockey.
It's like a guy, an assassin.
What takes place in a
It's
in
at
a
a hockey game, and
Yeah,
the
right.
president's watching the game, and the terrorists trying to kill the president, and Jean-Claude Van Damme.
American presidents do not understand hockey.
Mike Pence went to a. Anyways, never mind. We won't get
Mike
into that
Pence.
because we'll be here all night. But I was thinking, I would actually be interested in seeing a remake of this movie. Like, I thought the script was
Of sudden death,
of Sudden Fear.
sudden fear. Which one's that? Which one's sudden fear? Oh, the one we just
Joan
watched.
Crawford.
Okay.
The one we just watched.
By the way, speaking of...
Anyways, but like
It's not a great
I
title.
usually think like remake, meh.
Yeah.
But in this case, I actually thought that it was such an interesting story, and I thought there were such interesting characters. I would be interested in seing
I don't think that-
a reimagined version.
I don't think that they because of the technology. Well, you have to update it for all the technology in today, because there's no
Dictaphone.
the dictaphone was the main thing to turn the tide, You have to incorporate cell phones and fucking Google,
Which kind of ruins everything.
and Minecraft and all that shit.
the,
It does. You know,
Or rather, you have to find a reason why they can't get a cell phone.
I much prefer watching those kind of films from the 70s, 60s, 70s.
We're still recording.
We're
still recording.
That's
Let's wrap this up
When
before you
you-
do that, because it's gonna get picked up on the mic.
Wait,
sure.
just relax.
I
It's
know
okay.
a way. I know a way. I know a way.
You and your
I know a way.
to end the podcast.
In sudden fear.
I have been sorry.
You have been what?
I've been sorry.
You've been sorry. Why are you sorry, man? Why are you so sorry?
No, I'm not. I said
Don't be sorry.
I was about to wrap it up, but then I remembered you were halfway through. something.
No, I just saying I like movies that don't rely like things are easier now with technology to communicate.
Yes.
But when you watch like say World War II movies or espionage movies from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s even,
Yeah.
when that you didn't rely on that didn't make a difference. And you know, if someone had like sent a telegram, the telegram didn't get there in time.
Yeah.
You know, it made it. I much prefer movies like from that era.
Yeah.
And with that technology, as opposed to everyone's got everything at their fingertips right
No,
now.
but
You could remake Sudden Fear, but set it in that time, perhaps.
What's
Yeah,
how-
yeah.
But I wouldn't bother.
No, well, there's no point in remaking this.
Well,
movie.
no, I just it's
I
was thinking kind of like the Cape Fear remake or like The Thing or
The
The
Cape
Fly.
Fear remake sucks compared to the
Wait,
original.
it
I
doesn't-
thought it was
Wait,
okay at the time.
I like both. I didn't think the original was that great either. I thought it was good.
I thought it was better though than.
We have
Scorsese's.
actually
Well, the-
discussed the Cape Fear remake
the-
on
there-
a podcast.
Have
already.
we?
Yes,
there,
we
there
have.
are there are
So
some really
anything
good
we
things right
say,
now.
I'm just going to have to
Okay.
cut.
Well, or me.
Anyways, so we will continue this conversation, but you people at home are not allowed to listen to it.
No, because it gets a little blue from now on.
This has been a Black Dog podcast production. I don't know. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
So go and support your local businesses. Wear a mask. Wash your hands.
Wash your mask.
And
if you're gonna plan to murder someone, don't do it around a dictaphone.
don't do it around a dictaphone.
No, whatever that is.
So I've been Dylan Reimer. You have been.
Alex Chisholm.
And I am still Darren Gay.
And I never know how to end these damn.
How about we say goodnight?
This is just where we fade out. Good
Oh,
night.
good night.
Good night, everybody. Good
Bye.
night. Good night. Good night. Good night. Stay safe.
The Black Dog After Dark podcast is recorded at Black Dog Video on Commercial Drive in Vancouver, Canada. It's presented by Alex Chisholm, Darren Gay, and Dylan Reimer. It is produced by Dylan Reimer and Darren Gay. Alex just kind of stands there and drinks beer. The intro and outro music was recorded by Tiger Burning Bright, composed by Jeff, who works at Jefferson's Barbershop, also on Commercial Drive. And he's a damn good hairstylist.